And what was your name again?
Reggie.
Reggie. Got it. Okay, Reggie. Cool. Glad to be here. I got till 11 o'clock.
Alrighty. Let's jump right into it.
Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, so I just want to get started and tell you a little bit about myself. I've been on Infowars for since 9/11. That was really my red pill moment. Just seeing the theatrical rollout of, the War Machine, like as soon as it happened, I knew something was up. At 13 years old, seeing those buildings come down from two planes, I knew right then and there that, something was up. And I've always been someone who's questioned government, and it was just a snowball effect after that. I saw Loose Change. A friend of mine actually brought it over burnt on a DVD before it was, I'm pretty sure it was before it was even officially released, because the Loose Change that's on the internet now, there's some stuff in it that there's some stuff in the original version that I saw that isn't even on the actual the Loose Change documentary that's out right now. And I know you said your red pill moment was back around the Boston bombing, correct?
Yeah, the Boston Marathon bombing, yeah.
Is that when you officially started with Infowars?
Yeah, so the full story in a short manner is that I was working in sports media, so the Boston Marathon bombing, fell under our umbrella, and I was on sports talk radio at the time, and I like to be informed on the stuff I talk about. I know that's like rare these days, but I like to be informed on the stuff I talk about. So for the first time in my life, I was watching, news to figure out what happened.
Up there a little bit.
All right, you still got me? Can you hear me, Reggie? Hey, Reggie, can you hear me?
You still there? You're froze up on my end.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hey, can you hear me? Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay, I think we had a little malfunction there. So anyway, so for the first time ever in my life, I was watching news. And I was watching Fox and MSNBC and CNN to figure out what happened at the Boston Marathon bombing, because I wanted to know what I was talking about on the radio when we were covering this. And so I'm just watching it, day one. What? Something doesn't feel right about this. First time ever, something didn't feel right. Day two, something still doesn't feel right. Now you're starting to wonder about the whole narrative. Now you're starting to wonder about the police. Day three, okay, now everything doesn't make sense. They're not giving you the full story. Rich DeLoria, Ed Davis, I can go on and on. But basically, it was just a wake-up call for me, like, okay, I don't know what they're talking about here, but they're lying to me. That's all I knew, is that they're lying to me. So I started looking for information elsewhere so that I could go on the radio and actually make sense of all of this, because people were concerned. So naturally, I ended up finding Infowars and Alex Jones, and it was at that moment where, you have the red pill moment and you wake up and you're just like, whoa. And so everything after that to me just looked different. Sports felt like a child's game, and I didn't want to talk about it the rest of my life. I didn't want to be in sports media the rest of my life. So I pivoted to politics, and yeah, here I am.
Hit the ground running.
Exactly. Hey, you know what? The good thing is there's not much competition. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad, the state of political media, really. But it's coming around. There's a lot of up and coming people, so it's coming back.
It is. Yeah, it's a good sight to see. Speaking of liberals, I want to get your take on this. So I feel like there's three basic categories for liberals. Okay, you got your radicals, who care so much about their beliefs that they're willing to attack you with a bike lock. Then you got the liberals, who are really liberals in name only. They care, but they don't care. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to go out to a protest. They're not going to confront you.
Like a Leonardo DiCaprio flying around on a private jet to tell you about global warming.
Exactly. And then you got the very few classical liberals like Scott Adams, for instance.
Or I guess you could say maybe even like an Alan Dershowitz, perhaps.
Yeah.
But you know, have you ever seen an old comedian, an old political comedian, Mort Saul? Have you ever seen Mort Saul?
No, I haven't.
He used to do a political act, and it's funny because it's kind of what you're breaking down. And he used to break down like each section of the political paradigm in America, and he'd break it down into 3 different brackets, and he'd be like, "Yeah, so here's you have here." It's pretty funny. You should check it out. You might be able to do like a remake of it or something.
Okay, yeah, I'll look into that.
Mort Saul. I think it's like you'll see it. It's on a chalkboard. It's funny stuff.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to look that up. Next point I wanted to make is that with all the censorship and stuff going on right now, I feel like it's really important that we all start to circle the wagons. Have you guys reached out to any of the mainstream, Fox, Tucker, Hannity, Mark Levin, Crowder, any of those guys?
We've had communications with some people, and I think that, by now people can see who's going to stand up for free speech, who's talked about it, who's taken the free speech side of this, not to stand up for necessarily what Alex says, but his right to say it, even Bill Maher. For me, though, my circling the wagons is doing this interview right here. I mean, they're banning me off of YouTube, so what do? I go on your channel. I go on this other guy's channel. I go on the weird podcast that they did. So that's kind of my circling the wagons, is just to say, oh, what are you going to do? Ban me off of 20 channels? What are you going to shut down 20 YouTube channels? I can't even go on as a guest anywhere. So that's kind of my approach to this, is to just overwhelm their system and just to either show their true colors, that they're just going to censor. It's just a total unhuman, or I just exist on YouTube and they hate it. So that's kind of my approach to circling the wagons. But I think by now you've seen who's going to stand up for free speech and who's not.
Yeah, totally. How's Real.Video doing?
Mike Adams' Real.Video is doing well as far as I can tell. I'm not really working with him per se on that. We do use it though for the official archives of the War Room, our official website, warroom.show. That does go to Real.Video. So it's just in the primordial ooze right now, if you will. And as the censorship continues, Real.Video will probably become more important.
Yeah, you guys launched the official Infowars app at like the prime time, because I live and breathe that every single day.
It's our best app ever by far, too. So.
Oh, yeah, hands down.
Yeah.
It's like the only place to find the War Room.
Yeah.
And David Knight and Alex, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that brings me to my next point, is the challenges that we face right now. I feel like the biggest, obviously, is the censorship with the media and social networks. But another one that I feel like is a big problem is self-censorship. People being afraid to go out with their MAGA hats on. Every time I go out in public, my wife kind of hates it, but I have to wear my Trump is my president shirt from Infowars.com.
And how does that go for you?
Being a black Trump supporter, I don't get a whole lot of flack for it, but
and that's the red one. That's this one, right?
No. I'm wearing the original, the blue.
Okay, the navy one, that one. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I get way more compliments than I do. Like, I've never had anybody come up to me and confront me about being a Trump supporter, but I do have. I've been all over, people coming up, oh my gosh, Infowars.com, I love that. I love Trump. Can't believe you're out here wearing this, because I live in Washington, fairly blue state, and I spend quite a bit of time in Olympia, which is a lot like Portland and Seattle. So,
are you in the Vancouver area?
No, I'm about halfway in between Portland and Seattle.
Okay.
So,
coastal?
About 80 miles. No, right on the I-5 corridor.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's amazing. Other people that I know wear the Infowars shirts out, or a Trump shirt out every day, or a Trump hat, say the same thing. They mostly get compliments. And I think that this is kind of, I'll answer your question here. It's the chilling effect. Like, if you're afraid, which is what they are, which is part of their angle right now, is to intimidate people out of their right to free speech. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. That's what they're doing. They're creating a chilling effect. They don't want you to go out wearing a Trump hat. They don't want you to go out wearing a Trump shirt. They want you to hide. They want you to be intimidated. But if you actually do and fight that, most people I talk to, I think, in fact, all the people I talk to that wear Infowars shirts out or Trump hats say they get mostly compliments. You may run up on a radical liberal, like you said, the radical liberal. You may run into those once in a while, but hey, if you're recording, you got some good video footage there to submit to me in my new Infowars Army, and now you can get a rank in the Infowars Army. So I think it is a serious issue, and I think that there's a way that we have to fight back against it, and that's just by saying, screw it. We're just going to wear a hat. We're going to wear a T-shirt. And you know, I'm glad that actually you brought that up, because maybe that'll kind of be my entry point into Infowars Army. I don't know if you were listening to the show today, but I made an announcement. I'm starting the Infowars Army. It's a street activist team, perfectly legal, lawful, peaceful, everything. But maybe that's a good entry point. If you just go out for a day, and take a picture, take a selfie everywhere you go, to get your coffee, to get your lunch, at work, at the gym, at the movie theater that night, at the ball game, whatever it is, with your MAGA hat, say, hey, look, I wore it out. I'm not going to be intimidated out of my right to free speech. Maybe that'll be the entry point into the Infowars Army, and that's how you become a private. Because we really do have to fight this. We have to be able to speak our voice and to stand up for not just our right to free speech, but for our president, who's being attacked every day. So they definitely are trying to create a chilling effect on free speech, and if they can intimidate you out of your right to free speech, then they don't even need to legislate it out of existence. So it is a serious issue.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I'm gonna up my game. I'm gonna go to the Infowars store and get many more Infowars shirts.
It sounds like you're already winning it, my man.
Oh yeah, we got to take this full throttle, step it up in a high gear. So, and another challenge, I haven't seen too much of it myself personally, but there is a lot of hate and violence out there.
And most of it is at the anti-Trump marches, in case you haven't noticed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it seems like the only people that do go out and protest are the radical leftists.
Yeah.
When conservatives hold a protest, it's peaceful.
I've documented this, right? I've documented this. This isn't even debatable. I've documented this dozens of times.
Yeah, it's getting to be
that's what the media has done to these people. That's the Trump derangement syndrome. But it's really the media derangement syndrome, honestly. It's the media that's driven them into this hysteria, lying about Trump all day.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I want to shift gears just a little bit. Now that we had the serious talk, I want to ask you, what's it like to be a reporter for Infowars?
Well, it changes over time. I don't know how to phrase it, but let's just say we pretty much know. I mean, it's, when people come in to try to get a job, we can pretty much tell if they're going to be able to hack it or not, because you got to have really thick skin. You got to be willing to go into the dirt and just get mud slung at you. I mean, that's really what you got to do, and it's painstaking at times. It's tough at times. Alex, I don't want to say he's too demanding, because he really is a fair person to work for, and he's really great to his employees, but he wants the best for the company, and so he wants his employees to be the best, and sometimes it can be demanding, and you got to be on your feet, you got to be on your heels. So it's definitely a learning process, but I feel like I was born for this, man. I mean, I've been in live media for a long time now, and I was built for media, but I love it, man. I love the thrill. I love meeting people. I love learning things and following all of it and being a part of this history. So it's been a lot of work. People obviously see all the work I'm doing, but it's been a bit of a joyride too, because I get to meet a bunch of people and I get to actually see the impact that we're having on the world.
Yeah, it definitely shows your passion and dedication. It definitely shows just from the growth of the War Room, and you do a great job, man. My hat's off to you.
Well, thank you.
Next question. Being an Infowars reporter, how do you turn it off? How do you not take your work home for you? Like me, when I get done, when I clock out, I don't have to bring work home with me. My wife, she's self-employed. She's a hairstylist. So she's constantly, you know, working while she's at home, even when she's not at the salon, you know. What's it like for you? How do you turn it off?
Well, honestly, my friend, I don't. I really don't. In fact, I'll even show you something here. Actually, 2 of my screens shut down for lack of use, but if you can see my little setup here in my house, I have 4 screens that I'm monitoring the news all the time. And I'm rarely actually listening to them because you're not going to get much out of their audio. So I'm listening to different talk shows and different podcasts and what have you. So I really don't turn it off. I don't mind it. A lot of people, they think I'm crazy, and maybe I am. But I really don't turn it off, man. Even off time, I don't really take off time. Off time for me is going to the gym or learning how to play the guitar. For me, it's what I've learned actually at a young age is that momentum is your greatest ally, and you just gotta get the momentum going, and that's how you keep going. So if ever you take a break, in other words, whenever the momentum stops, it's tougher to get back up to full speed and to grind it out. So I never take it home. But the one thing, and honestly, I feel like this is the biggest difference between myself and Alex Jones, is I can turn it off if I want to. I can turn it off and go into, blue pill mode and go to a ball game and forget about the madness and not be bothered by all the zombies and the propaganda. I can go to a concert and forget about all the madness and rock out and have a beer. So I can still black out essentially from the matrix that I see. You know what I'm saying? I can put the blinders on and go into the blue pill mode. So when I do take a vacation or a couple days off, that's when I turn it off. But unless if I'm working and I'm on air, I never turn it off. And I know that Alex is the same way. And he's my boss. He's in many ways my mentor. He's the man that I'm following every day. It gave me a platform to launch my career. So he never turns it off. So I feel like I can't turn it off either. But when I take time off, I can turn it off and forget about it and block it all out. At least enough to keep me sane.
So what would you do if you weren't destroying liberals every single day of your life?
Well, I would imagine I would still be in sports media. So either doing, probably when you're in sports media, you do everything. You do talk show, you're right, you do play by play. So that's where I was at before I moved out of St. Louis to Austin to work for Infowars. So I would imagine that I would still be doing that.
Okay. So
if I had it my way, I'd be touring the world with my best friends, playing rock music in front of 60,000 people every night. But I'm not.
Who wouldn't, right?
Exactly. But I don't think that's not happening. You can join me. We'll do it. We'll figure it out.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's actually something that I have in the works. Conscious hip hop, like music today, is just garbage. Like everything new that comes out, I feel like it's mind blowing how terrible it is, really. Like everything sounds the same. No, there's no substance to any new music. And that's something that I've personally been working on, is just conscious hip hop. So
well, I know a lot of people are trying to do more stuff. The problem is there's such a control over the entertainment industry. There's such a control over the radio industry. It's so hard to penetrate, that market as an independent. And you would normally say, well, that's with the YouTube and the alternative media, but they all get the same push there that they get on the radio. So it is tough there. I think that there's an expanding market for that. And I know that a lot of people are trying to go in that direction. So maybe an expansive market takes off, but I got to agree with you. I mean, a lot of the music, and I follow the music industry, I mean, pretty well. I quit following. I used to follow it all when I had the time. Nowadays, I'm kind of only really following rock and then a few other artists I like. But I used to follow everything. And man, it used to be you could still get a good hip hop album coming out from any artist at any given time of year, a good rap album. To me, I'm the same way. I mean, I hear anything in that industry and it just sucks. I mean, even pop. I mean, who makes good pop music anyway? I mean, I don't know. It all seems the same. It all seems corporate. And that's why I spend a lot of time going to concerts these days, because I feel like music is like dying.
Yeah, it really is. Wife just got home. Next question. How do you feel about the future? Honestly.
I feel good about it because, well, I guess this is kind of a dystopian way to look at things, but man, I mean, in some ways you look at humans and you think, geez, could it get any worse? And then you hate to see what worse might look like. But at the same time, you kind of see people waking up right now, kind of realizing, oh, we're not in Kansas anymore, looking up from their smartphones and realizing we're not in Kansas anymore. But I think that we're at a pivotal point right now where we decide what future we want to live in. Do we want to live in an Orwellian future where feelings are more important than fact and there's only one opinion, one narrative for all things? Or do we want to live in a future where we're not controlled by a narrative and we're more about questioning things and discovering the mysteries of the universe together and not allowing whatever entity to claim that destiny for us? I think we're at the pivotal point right now, and the establishment and the powers that be have realized this, and that's why they're going for broke right now. And Trump is the biggest obstacle, and he really probably stopped the whole thing, him getting elected. So the question is, what can we do? We got the ball now. Can we score a touchdown for humanity and change our own destiny, or are we just going to have a flash in the pan and go right back on the same course we were on, which is ultimately a one world government, Orwellian style?
Yeah, I totally agree. We're definitely at the tipping point for sure. Final question. Are you a gun guy? If so, what's your favorite EDC?
Honestly, I'm not the biggest gun guy. The only gun, I mean, I have guns, obviously. The only guns that I'm really into are shotguns, because I like skeet shooting, and I'm good at skeet shooting. Other than that, I'm not really into guns, to be honest with you. I'm obviously Second Amendment and, fully on board there. But as far as being a gun fanatic, I don't like to claim that I'm in that club, because the people that are know a lot more than me. And I haven't even fired probably, half the weapons that are out there. Gun guys fire all the weapons. But I do enjoy shotguns. My favorite shotgun would have to be my side-by-side double-barrel Stoger Coach gun. I can shoot that thing like a dream, man. So that's my favorite gun. I'm not a big gun guy. I've got a type of every gun, and I'll use it for my protection if I have to. But outside of shotguns, I'm really not much of a fanatic.
Okay, cool. Right on. Well, I appreciate you taking the time tonight, and hopefully I'll speak to you again here in the near future.
Right on, man. God bless you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, God bless you. Love you, brother.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.